Welcome back to my Girl Love series review on this channel. Today, let's talk about Broken of Love episode 6. I have to say, everything has completely blown up, like the drama has exploded in a really intense way. This can easily be considered one of the series with the biggest plot twist I've ever watched. I never expected Arisa's mother to still be alive. So it turns out that Arisa's entire revenge plan targeting Welling, which was meant to avenge her parents, might actually be a huge misunderstanding. This is insane. Even the fact that Arisa's mother is still alive is already a twist. But now there's also the revelation about a romantic relationship between Arisa's mother and Lalan's mother, which is truly shocking. At this point, I think that might be the reason she had to stay hidden all this time, and she might even be connected to Arisa's father's death. My theory is that Arisa's father found out his wife was having an affair with her close friend, and that could have led to his death. Or it could also be related to Mek in some way. Otherwise, why would he hide the truth about Arisa's parents' deaths and not tell Arisa that her mother is still alive? If we say Mek didn't know, that's very hard to believe. He knows Arisa very well, so investigating her family background shouldn't be difficult. And he had around 20 years to look into it. There's no way he couldn't have found out the truth. Meanwhile, the journalist that Atom approached only needed a short amount of time to uncover the truth about Arisa's mother's death. So I strongly believe Mek is involved in this. But honestly, there are just too many things happening, and I really want to know what everyone thinks about this twist. Besides the big twist, we also need to talk about what happened in this episode. I feel like Arisa does love Lalan, but that love isn't strong enough. She married Lalan, a sweet, innocent girl who loves her deeply, while Arisa herself fully knew everything. But she still put revenge above love, which is really cruel to Lalan. How can you still choose to marry someone when you clearly know everything that's about to happen? You know how much she loves you, and you also know you have feelings for her too. But in the end, you still choose revenge over everything else. Marrying her under those circumstances feels really manipulative, because you knew exactly how much it would hurt her, and yet you still went through with it. It's really heartbreaking for Lalan. She thought the wedding would be full of happiness and love, but in reality, it was surrounded by hatred. If Laleen weren't so innocent, this wouldn't feel as harsh. But right now, she is still exactly that, an innocent girl who knows nothing, only trusting and loving Arisa. And Arisa honestly did something really terrible to her. Another thing is Lalan's aunt. I really wonder why she would trust a stranger so easily. Even though that person is her niece's lover, she barely knows Arisa since they've only met a few times. Yet, she still handed over all of her shares. No matter how much she hates Welling, it still doesn't make sense to make such a reckless decision giving all the shares to an outsider just to push Welling out of the CEO position. I really can't understand her actions. Instead, if she wanted to transfer shares, she could have given them to Lalan. At least giving them to her niece makes more sense than giving them to someone like Arisa. If I were Welling, I would honestly lose my mind. First, a business rival gets close to her daughter and marries her. Then, she is forced to give half of her shares to Arisa because of the company's financial situation. And finally, Arisa takes over the entire company. Everything that happens to her feels like a carefully planned revenge scheme, but it might actually start from a misunderstanding. It's really enough to drive someone crazy. I have to say, this episode was amazing. Atom's acting was outstanding, especially considering this is her first role. Her emotional scenes and crying performance were done really well, especially the moment when she asked Arisa whether everything had been planned from the beginning and whether she was just being used. That scene was executed beautifully. I'm really looking forward to Saturday to watch the next episode. I'm honestly counting down the days for the new episode. I've always liked the series, even with a few small flaws, but this episode made me extremely excited about what will happen next. If you haven't watched it yet, you should definitely check it out. And if you already have, let me know your thoughts.